future of our own country is what we are responsible for in the government. And so therefore it has been very seriously on our mind, especially as we've been preparing a 5-year plan. A 5-year plan is preparing for the future of the country. So as we prepared the 5-year plan, it took us about 2 to 3 years. And why it took us so long was we decided to get down to the fundamentals, to get to the people of the country, various parts of the country, various people, women, youth, Dalits, the tribals, people who feel they're not sufficiently included in the development of the future of the country, don't feel that their voices are being heard. So in preparing the plan, we very systematically involved some 950, I think it was, almost 1,000 civil society organizations that represent in various parts of the country these various groups, and also consulted with all the business organizations, the ones that represent the small industries, and there are many of them, and those that represent the big industries also, of which also there are several of them, in this process of consulting the country, as it were. We also put out onto the internet and the social media our questions to people. What would you think are the most important things for the country, and your suggestions on how we might address them. So from this richness of listening to the country, the people of the country, we were able to see many big issues, big forces that are playing out right now in the country. And so we put these big forces that came out of these voices into a systems diagram. How do these various forces affect each other? How do they relate to each other? And from that one can see, as it were, the whole elephant, the shape of the whole elephant. It's like the old metaphor of, people see parts of the system only. It's only when you put the various perspectives together, you see the whole real system, the whole real elephant. And so, economists see the economic numbers and economic factors, and there are people who are in the disadvantaged groups who see the social factors and they represent them, and there are people who see the political forces and power and they represent it. But the system is all of these together. So we've recognized that the 12th 5-year plan at its center must have plans for action on improving governance and management of systems in the country. There is no point saying that the growth of the economy is being affected by the large subsidies that are being given, which are having an effect on the fiscal. In improving conditions for people, we found very strongly the desire of people to be, I'm going to use a big word, included in the management of the country and the growth of the country. And this inclusion would be, they want their voices to be included in shaping plans and policies. They want themselves to be included in the growth by getting good livelihoods and jobs. So we have spent a fair deal of time also taking the various people's views on how governance could be tuned up and improved to produce the better inclusive growth that we want for our economy. Now people get worried, international observers and some people inside, when they hear all this rumbling about protest of this and that and the other. But my view is actually that, let me use a different metaphor, the metaphor of a car. And I'm very fond of cars, and I like a car with a good engine and a good transmission, and a manual one preferably, so that you can feel the power and use the power when necessary. Now, when your car confronts an obstacle, hill it has to go over, what do? You put the transmission down, so you get into a lower gear. And what do you hear then? You hear more rumbling of the engine, especially if you have a good sports car like the one I had in the US. That's the sound you get. You're getting the sound of the power being engaged for the system to get itself past obstacles that is now encountering. So the rumbling we are hearing in India now is the rumble of democracy engaging. And that's a very good thing. People are engaging, the democracy is engaging itself with what needs to change in governance and the way the economy is being run. That's a very good thing. So once the power is being engaged, I can expect to get further improvement. If I was in my car and I didn't want to hear all this noise, I would perhaps leave my car in that higher gear, but what would happen then is my car would stall actually. So by engaging the power and hearing all this noise, which is part of engaging the power of democracy, I'm very confident that the solutions are emerging now, the real ones, the fundamentals are being addressed, and so the Indian economy, at least on the governance side, is going to get the boost of better management and better governance, democratic management and democratic governance.